What is up, folks? We are back for this week's episode of Insecure. This is episode 6, Lowkey Done. And I think after a really emotionally driven episode last week, I think it's really good to come back this week with some positive vibes because, man, we was on the edge last week. I mean, even after we recorded the show, we talked for another almost 2 hours about it because it was just that intense. But again, this episode was all about the positive vibe. We're here to break everything down. By all means, we're actually recording this real time because we recorded it before, and now we're going to interact basically with the fans at the same time you guys are watching it. So before we get started, want to give a bunch of kudos and thanks to everybody who's watched our previous first 5 episodes with tons of comments, feedbacks. We've heard it. We're thriving to deliver a better product each and every week. So you have definitely been heard, and we definitely are, again, striving to just put out better content each and every week.
Absolutely. This was an amazing episode. I think that we definitely got some things to talk about. I know Sherelle's ready for her Nathan Nathaniel.
Before we get started, really quickly, just want to say I want to introduce everybody. And Lou cannot make it; he had something pop up at work, so hopefully we'll have him back next week. But obviously, if this is your first time watching, we just want to make sure you know who we all are. Make sure we give a quick hi to everybody, and we're going to break down everything that's going down in the show. So I'm the host here, Nigeria, and I'm accompanied by, to my left, right.
Hi, I'm Sherelle Dominique.
I feel like the Brady Bunch.
and under her
Me with the beat up breast.
and under me now.
Wait.
Me?
Yeah. You're under me.
Sorry, I was getting lost there for a second. Jazz, hi everybody. Good to be here. Excited to talk about tonight's episode.
Yes. Yeah, it's been again, I can't stress enough. Last week we were ready to pull out the guns ourselves because it was so hostile in it. But again, this week has really been about positive vibes, and I think much like today is Sunday for us. Issa's starting off with her self-care Sunday. So quickly, everybody's a quick little fill-in. What do you guys do on your self-care Sundays? What do you guys get relaxed before you get into the episode for the night?
I think self-care Sundays, like meditation in the morning, doing the usual adult stuff. I feel like you can't self-care without doing adult stuff. Like somehow you was cooling and you end up doing laundry. That's not really a lot of self-care, but it's in there. I have an appreciation for laundry myself. So, but yeah, definitely like a good breakfast. And then for the episode, just, grabbing a glass of wine. And I mean, might as well just bring the whole bottle with you. Because for real, I feel like you can get halfway through with 30 minutes of Issa.
I baked cookies today. I baked vegan chocolate chip cookies.
Nice.
Had my Sunday service this morning and did a bunch of adult things, like you said, Amaya. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made some Southwest shrimp tacos today for dinner and got my glass of wine, finished reading some of my book that I'm reading currently, and then just got ready for the episode tonight.
Yeah, I know where we should be having our Sunday lunch once this quarantine so keep that door open, Cheryl. We'll be through for those tacos.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
but the cookie.
Oh yeah, we need those for sure.
Right. Yeah.
And just complete off with the wine, obviously.
Obviously.
So with everything that happened last week, obviously, hopefully that's not the term for the night, obviously. But anyway, no, with everything that happened last week, Issa and Molly fell out. We know that, and it was missing, water and oil, and it completely just went overboard. And now Issa has really been, if anybody has not been keeping up with the series the entire 4 seasons, her looking in the mirror is her alter ego, but same time her consciousness. And it was a lot of that going on in this episode because she was contemplating the idea if she was right or if she was wrong. And although it provides a really comedic relief with her consciousness in the mirror rapping and so forth, it did come to a real big realization for her because her whole mission this entire day was random acts of kindness. She was acting like a good Samaritan. And I think quickly that, you know, she found out that you can't make everybody happy. So with that being said, really quickly, again, another quick solve question. Have you guys ever found yourself in a situation where you just had to just perform random acts of kindness because you felt like maybe you might have did something wrong, or you just trying to flip that karma a little bit?
No. I mean, if I'm doing something, you know, that was one of the things that popped up for me is Issa doing this because she feels like she's having a hard time struggling with Molly having called her selfish, like, you know, or a user rather, right? And so here I am, and I'm like, okay, so Issa's this, you want to buy the pregnant woman, you know, her groceries, you want to give this strange man who missed the bus a lift, and I'm thinking, you're doing all these things, but you're not paying attention to yourself and like how you feel. So I think she was trying to ease some sort of guilt that she may have felt, which again is a conversation for her to have, like with herself, and like really dive a little bit deeper. So, but me personally, no, you know, I've never, if I'm doing it, it's real random. It's not like you know, something happened 2 days ago and now here I am and I see Jazz, you know, who wants some groceries. And I'm like, oh, well, I feel bad. So let me go, you know, like that's kind of how like I felt Issa was doing. So.
Yeah, I think she was trying to ease her mind by doing acts of kindness, but at the same time, it's her avoiding the deeper issue. And I think that's why she's getting slapped in the face by doing these nice things, and then it's not turning out well.
Right.
Starting with George and like how he's like super bipolar, and even with like the girl with the grocery situation, she just kind of like walks out and like, oh, that didn't work.
Right.
And then she runs into the chicks at the sipping paint, and then they like literally ghost her at the restaurant. So it's just like, you know, you got to kind of focus on yourself when you're going through these situations, when you're having these breakups, and just kind of don't avoid how you're feeling. You have to be in that moment and feel what you're feeling and be in tune with yourself. And she's not doing that.
Agree.
Yeah, it was definitely just disingenuous. And I just feel like whenever you do stuff that's disingenuous, you never get out of it whatever you think you're trying to get out of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it goes, and Issa, she's just like, you know, like you guys mentioned, she's just avoiding. She's just avoiding. She's a serial avoider.
Yeah. She don't like conflict.
I'll have to agree with Jazz on this one.
Yeah.
I thought that was so bizarre. Start off the day with like, hey, I need to take care of myself, to like, hey, I need to do all this stuff for other people. Quickly backfire, and you know, we'll talk about how that ultimately resulted for the end of the episode. So I know Sherelle really only came on the show tonight to only talk about one person. So
yes, I was happy to see him.
But no, we got clarification of the Nate situation, and there was all the insecure groups and social media have all been kind of bouncing this question around, and we got the answer tonight. And you know, Nate made it his initiative to help Issa. He needed help and he wanted to help her. He did not deem that as being as him being you. So I think that puts that to bed. I don't think there's anything else to discuss about that.
Yeah.
Nope. Agreed.
And I mean, I think that people who were looking for a reason to bash Issa last episode, we're now seeing this episode that, you know, and I think I want to say it was probably split. Like 50% people were like, she's a user, and then 50% was like, nah, Nathan was just like, let me help. So, you know, so now they can be like, oh, all right. So like, just chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was just being nice. I think with her explaining to him that, you know, what was going on with the whole block party, her headliner backing out, I think he just really wanted to do something nice for her. And I don't know what his intent is, if there is any intention, but I just think that Molly should have stepped outside of herself and saw like the bigger picture. But she didn't do that. And it's just weird now.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jazz.
And I just feel like Nate's situation too was just that whole little phone call there was just to show you also that this was never it was never ever about Nate. This is a and B, Issa and Molly like situation. Andrew, Nate, everybody else, they don't have anything to do with like the root of whatever, you know, is going on here.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Nate, working at the barbershop, said he's back in town, said he's been grinding, forgot about his own birthday. I'm very curious to see where this goes. I mean, they didn't put any emphasis, and much like you said, it wasn't about them, but also their dynamic. There's no emphasis on it right now. I'm still anticipating some type of big shocker between the two of them again, because it seemed really peaceful, and I feel like Nate's demeanor after the whole situation was questionable. I don't know, was he disappointed or not? But he seemed positive on this episode, so that's where I'm gonna last off of. But I do think there's still more to be talked about there. So can't wait to see where that goes.
That's what I was gonna ask you though, like because you and Lou
definitely
was real adamant last week. Okay, let me get the neck rolling. You was real adamant last week. Ooh, Nathan was gonna be in his feelings. She just disregarded him. She used him.
That is
so
true.
for you and Lou, okay, let's set the rates that she did not use him, and it looks like Nathan is A-okay and wants to see his boo, Issa.
I give you that. I didn't think she used him. But I did think that potentially he might have been blown because he's like, man, I was there for you when you needed help. And now that you need help again, you kind of dismiss me. So, but yeah, he played it cool. I gotta give him his props. And again, as good as he's showing character right now, he also showed character like that before and then hit a Houdini.
He did.
So I don't know how much credibility I can give into him staying on par with being this friendly companion. You know what I mean? So we'll see. So, okay. So Sherelle brought it up. I really was waiting for this. I gotta say, it's been a hell of a week for the DMV. Now, I know we're talking about Insecure, but we just got that KD documentary that put DMV on the map. Just in case you guys, I put a review out for that. But just in case anybody has no clue who the DMV is, I feel bad for you. But once again, on another show, the DMV get mad love, and not just the DMV. They specifically said PG County, and my boo Kyla Pratt played it. So. So we done with the show or what? Because that's all I needed.
Listen, I was ready for Issa to light their asses up, but why do the DMV PG girls gotta be grinding?
Whoa! Don't ask you don't get to ask the questions here. You don't get to ask the questions is that true? Was that portrayed true? I have heard stories of this dying and ditching going on from PG County ladies in other cities.
And here, so
I've never heard of that.
That's not just like a bachelorette thing. That's like a regular thing that they do.
I think that they tried to intertwine it. They tried to like bring it into two, because obviously it was the bachelorette list, but I think that it was a little janky.
Yeah.
On there.
Yeah, that was disrespectful. And that little clip of her.
I got so excited for the dream sequence.
Like I was ready for that to be real. Like I was so ready for that to have been real.
I thought it was real. I was ready. I was like, oh, okay, this is just like a whole new Issa now. Like this is like the Molly fight tipped it off. Now she's just gonna go off on everybody.
Listen,
and then I was like, get it, Issa. Like, yes, put your foot down.
More passive aggressive bullshit ass Issa.
Yes, I was so ready for that whole thing to not have been what they call it, a daydream. Like I was ready for that to be real. Like
alternate ending.
Damn.
I was
like, why she couldn't go knock her upside her head with the pan?
I would have. That's what I would have did.
She deserved it though, because I've never heard of this whole dining and ditching thing. Like that shit is disrespectful to me.
Yeah, I think that would have been pretty disrespectful. Even if that's not something I would want at my bachelorette party, but
you have to have a little bit of that in you in order to want to do it. Maybe
yeah, because I wouldn't even do that on a date. Like, if it's not working, it's just not working. But
I mean, not as a grown up, no.
Nah, that's just mad disrespectful.
Yeah.
I love the Kyla Pratt played the PG girl. I was all for that.
Of course,
it was cute.
I love how they put on, and I loved everything until that. Cause I was like, damn, man. See, now
But
they had to do that.
Why we gotta have what did she call out outlets?
Oh, the dusty. We said dusty outlets or something like that.
Dusty outlet.
Why we gotta have a dusty outlet?
She was spitting game. That ain't true.
Right.
Everybody know. You come to DMV, you can get whatever you need in this area, man. Shout out to everybody from the DMV. You know, hey, ho. But although Jasmine's not from the DMV, she knows what it is because she's frequently in town. So again, shout out to the DMV.
I come visit time to time. I don't dine and dash. I haven't had anybody do that to me. So.
I hope that no adults out here doing that. It was a crazy scene. So, but I will, before I even got to that, one thing I had wrote for a topic was like, you know, after, and much like you said earlier, Sherelle, Issa went through a breakup, and you can tell me if you know, give reactions on this, but like, I feel, you know, much like her consciousness was like, go, those type of situations to go out, kind of boost your morale a little bit, are like typically positive in a situation like this. You know, after the Molly thing, you know, that shot her morale, and it definitely attacked her character because she got her out here picking up strangers and paying for strangers and stuff like that. And she's really low about herself. But you go out, meet new friends, good vibes. They, like you said, they sicing her head up. I had to put some DMV words in there for y'all. But at the same time, I saw a lot of positive in there. So, like, again, is that like something you think was like a gamble that she should have never done in the first place? She should have never even been in the interactive thing, or you think like it just went good until it went bad because of what they did? Or have y'all ever done that? Matter of fact,
it was not on Issa. It wasn't on Issa in this situation. Those group of girls intentionally went to. They were there to do this. Down and then ditch or whatever it is.
Right.
They intentionally did that. So this was not on Issa. This was just mad disrespectful. But I think that it's a good thing that she went out and got herself out of the house. And because I think when you do go through a breakup, I think it's important to not sit around and think about it. You should think about it, but you shouldn't stop living. Like, you shouldn't be sad the whole time. You know, you got to do you got to go outside of yourself and do things and learn how to do things by yourself without this person.
I think I liked I liked the scene that they showed in the beginning where she was like cleaning the house and stuff like that, because I feel like that's kind of, I guess that's kind of where I would be at. I'm very much like I like to be productive. Like, I try to use like that, and it like productivity like distracts me. So in a way, and I feel like I'm, you know, bettering myself, feel like I'm doing something for me. So I'm, you know, kind of kill two birds with one stone type of thing.
I think that honestly, in a space of vulnerability, which is where Issa was, I would have stayed in the house. And maybe if I wasn't in the house per se, I would have found something else that allowed me to connect with myself. Go for a walk, ride a bike, something of that sort. Maybe, yes, do the paint and sip, but like just do the paint and sip and then go home, right? I think that the idea for me felt like she was pretty much trying to put a Band-Aid on a situation that happened with her and Molly. She was trying to, let me go help this lady and I'll feel good. Let me give this guy a bus ride and I'll feel good. Let me go out with these people. And like, it was so much of, you know, the navigation of avoidance. The whole entire episode for me was a big avoidance. So now I can actually be mad at her because yeah, okay, maybe you did want Molly to come at you first, but obviously the universe led you to a situation where now you have to confront her, right? And you should just really get it out the way. And I agree 100% with Kelli in reference to the longer you let it fester, the worse it's going to be and the harder it's going to be to come back from it.
Yeah, but I agree to an extent of the fact that you can't avoid everything. Like the whole reason why she ended up with the women in the first place is because she was avoiding Kelli. She was avoiding having that conversation with Kelli. But as it relates to Molly, I kind of understand where Issa's coming from because she's always been the one to fix it. You know what I mean? And in this situation, she doesn't feel like she's as wrong. And I think that's what they probably both are feeling, but we didn't see Molly that much this episode. They both could be feeling like, okay, I didn't do anything wrong, but then they both could be saying, okay, I'm not going to reach out because I'm guilty. But I'm actually glad to see that she didn't reach out to her first, but I am upset that she didn't go into the restaurant.
Dang, Sherelle? Oh, we at the end. I'm just playing, Sherelle. Now I gotta ask you a one-on-one question really quick. Now you say you don't know what dine and ditching is, right? So you trying to tell me you ain't never dine and ditch at the IHOP in Forestville?
What?
No.
I just play.
I ain't never been. I've never been in that.
To the IHOP in Forestville. Like, damn.
Right. Let's
Put on the spot.
Hey, you know what? Let me have some respect, because that joint might not even be open at this rate.
Is it though? Don't do that.
I just messing with you.
I'm actually sitting here trying to think, have I ever dined and ditched at IHOP?
Oh,
I just rolled out. And I probably have, because, you know, they didn't used to make you pay at your table. You had to go to the front.
Oh,
so
yeah, you know. Oh.
Yeah. But I digress. That's all I'm going to say. So maybe, but not at Forestville. No way.
Yeah, all I gotta say is when Issa came out the bathroom, that look that she had, like where everybody go, I'm trying to tell you, man, that joint hit a whole nother way if you've ever been in that situation.
You sound like you have, Nigeria. You sound like you've been in that situation.
Yeah, have you?
Have I been? Oh, yes, I've been.
You sound like he's talking from experience.
I've never done that, but I would have been totally pissed. I would have been like, pull up the footage that you have in security, right? And
that's actually what I wanted, because it didn't show if she paid the bill, right?
That was like 4 people.
It didn't show if she paid the bill, but I'm assuming she had to pay the bill to leave. Yeah. But I'm trying to figure out how, when that first car wasn't working at the grocery store, but she did say she had a second.
Oh boy. I don't know. That's funny.
But she looked like she ran out of it though.
Yeah, I don't know. So we're not gonna get on her wine selection. I mean, we all know you guys are wine connoisseurs, got the finest and the best each and every show. So what, y'all not gonna get on her big gallon of nothingness?
Listen, I'm not gonna knock it. Okay, I have my preference, and Issa has hers. That's all.
Yes. I wonder what it was though.
No, I think it was, crazy. Like it looked like it might have been for real. It looked like it might have been a Sutter home.
No, I don't know. They're coming that side.
It looked like a jug of sangria. That's what it looked like.
Now look,
yeah.
I got since we
that looked like something you concoct at home.
Since we playing attention to detail, I know Issa did not bare butt that stall in the bathroom.
Oh damn! Yeah. She did.
I know she did not bare butt that
bad. There was no squat. There was no line.
It was like squatting.
I know.
Let me tell you how women's legs get strong. The bathroom. Since we've been like 6.
Y'all are funny. But no. But going back a little bit to the point of where she wanted to roll up on him, and although yes, it was a thought in her head, much like most of them are. Like, but what if she would have showed that sign of aggression and had have done that, and it did play out the way it did? Good. Was that the release?
Yes.
Yeah. Was that ultimately the release she might have needed?
She needs a release. The girl is pent up.
But I'm happy to
seeing her cry at her mom's was like nice. But like you're angry, so you need to slap some faces, punch in some teeth. You, whether it's virtually, like if you print out somebody's face and put it on a punching bag, right? You still need to do it. I think that Issa is very much pent up. She's angry at the things that have occurred. but also she wants to celebrate this win that she just got. Like, this is a very split time for her at this very moment, because it's like, damn, I want to celebrate myself, but like, damn, I got all this happening too. Like, I can see why she went home and smoked that J, because bruh.
Yeah. I'm just happy to see that she didn't go. And I'm just happy to see that she didn't go to a dude's for a release. And now I am so happy. Thank you, Jesus.
I agree. I'm like Daniel. Is that Daniel go? Don't be Daniel. Don't be Daniel. Oh, okay. Hey, Ma.
I know. Yeah. I'm just really happy that she didn't go to a dude to like release. I'm glad she called her mom. Like that whole scene was like amazing to me. Like, because our parents know us so well, especially if you have a really close relationship. Like our parents can just tell us the good and the bad about ourselves. And she really needed that encouragement from her mother. And I just was happy to see it.
I agree.
Go ahead, Jazz, before I got a response to
I think the paint and sip was not the way to go. I don't think that should have been her activity of choice. I do think she needed a release, and I do think she needed to not do a paint and sip. Maybe a workout class, do some kickboxing. I don't know, something to go throw an axe or something. They have that now. Go break some stuff. You could go somewhere now and break things. There's a Groupon for everything. She needed a better time.
There is.
This is true.
Yeah.
I definitely think that I agree with Jasmine on that. I definitely think that, like, yo, go break some shit. And I heard that it's amazing. Hell, I mean, I've broken some stuff before breaking stuff was in. So we don't need this. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and then like as far as her confrontation, like the confrontation point with Molly at the end there, I mean, we are picking up.
We can't go there yet. We can't go there yet.
Okay, we're getting there.
That's the cake is getting baked. We'll put the icing on that one in a second. Yeah, we getting there. No, I know because you're jumping over a couple of other critical points. I mean, you know, it's not always recommended that everybody release with some type of aggression or something physical like that. But Issa has been sort of nonviolent and been the apologetic one. And, you know, maybe this is the type of release, you know, and it's obviously it can be maintained. Doesn't make you an animal of some sort to want to be able to respond in that way. So there's definitely different avenues. And we've seen she's tried the other way, the Good Samaritan, hanging out with new friends, drinking, painting. So none of that worked until she had to go finally to the trump card. And, you know, like you said, you know, when all else fails, you go home to mama. And it was as soon as she walked in, it's that moment when she untied her shoe with one hand, one finger, and pulled it off. She knew what she was walking into. And it's like you're facing the judge, you know, because your parents already know. There's no hiding from them. There's no lying to them. No matter how you try to cloak it, they already know what it is. So she knew, in a sense, going home is almost like rock bottom. And her mom let her down. And she had the release that, you know, ultimately was the overflow of emotion. And she cried her mom. I thought it was a powerful scene. And it's so surreal, I think, in everyone's life at some point that, you know, no matter what it is, this is always your safe zone.
Yeah, I think it's more of this is her safe space versus it's her rock bottom, because the safe space is I can go to this place and be cradled and be loved, but I can also be reprimanded in love, right there. So there's a difference between like your mom pointing a finger at you, you know, type of thing. So I think that her mother did a very good job at not judging her situation at all. She was very compassionate, and I think those were great points that we actually needed to see, because sometimes you feel like you can't go home, right? So the idea that you can go home and you can be comforted, but you can still be reprimanded and in love, and then not look like a beating or a tongue lashing, and you know, and be better for it, because obviously Issa was better for it after having a conversation with her mother. So I think it was amazing. So I definitely think it was, you know, that's her safe space.
Yeah.
I think that's why too, like they didn't show her with like she didn't really want to have that conversation with Kelli right now. And I'm sure the same thing would have been for Tiffany too. I think she needed to have that, like, you know, we kind of just saw Issa, like, you know, we didn't see her interacting with too many people except for the conversation with her mom.
Right. And I think it's valid. After a big blow, and you know, everybody's calling you, right? You need a moment. It's like, let me focus, guys. Let me get my thoughts together. Okay, now let's have a conversation.
I was going to quickly say, when I meant rock bottom, I meant breaking point. When she knew, like, I split all my options here. This is the option, you know, again, facing the judge, because 9 times out of 10, you know, your parents going to lay you out. You try to figure it all out because you're a big bad adult. You got all your money, all your property, all your other good stuff. And you can lie high, but when you come home, you already know. You're looking right into the eyes, and they're going to look right in your soul, and you're going to say, I already know what it is. And this is what it is. I've been in that situation. So, you know, again, when you think about the dynamics of what happened this entire episode, she really exalted every option that she had possible. I would even say healthy options, to be honest, because, you know, as much as Sherelle wanted her to go back to Nathan, she didn't. But she did other things that we could deem ethical, no matter if they went right or wrong, but it didn't work. And you had to go home. So I much like Amaya said, it was a powerful scene, and it was the choice that probably she was ultimately going to land at no matter what anyway.
Mm-hmm. And I also like that Issa asked Kelli, like, are you using the same energy towards Molly? Because sometimes it's always somebody in your group that's telling you to do something, but then telling the other person to do it. I'm just glad Issa was like, well, are you using this same energy with Molly? Because she was wrong too. And honestly, I don't think so. I don't think she is. I don't think anybody's asking Molly to speak up and say something first. And I honestly just don't think that's in Molly's character to do that, because we haven't seen it.
I think that's why too. I think is exactly why it's not in her character. And sometimes people, they already expect a certain standard, I guess, from you, and then that kind of becomes this, you know, whether it's right or wrong, that kind of just becomes the standard that they expect from you, and that needs to change sometimes.
I agree.
I am very curious about this comment you just made. Before I even rebuttal on that, I gotta say that, you know, a lot of people has been asking more of a different dynamic from Kelli, who has just been a comedic role and just been doing her own thing. Hell, she had a guy the last episode, so we've seen a different side of her. But this is definitely a side in 4 seasons that we have not seen, and she is acting in the voice of reason, the mediator, without joke. So I'm wondering, like, you know, in this case, and this is a question I'll start with Sherelle first. Do you think, although Issa says she shouldn't, do you think Issa should be the one to reach out to Molly first before what happened in the conclusion of the episode? But based on her conversation with Kelli, do you think, by the reason of Kelli, that she should reach out to Molly first?
Ooh.
Yikes.
The reason why is because, yes, I feel like the whole conversation about their friendship has been, they just needed to have a conversation way before now. But I feel like because Molly chose to have her breaking point at Issa's event is so wrong. Like, I'm really, really standing on the fact that I think that the way that this blowout happened did not happen at the right time. And I think that Molly at this point should start with an I'm sorry, because she was wrong. I don't care how many Molly fans is out there and how many Team Mollys it is. Molly was wrong.
Better watch
she
out.
was wrong. I know, right? Let me watch my back. But it's okay. I'm social distancing. So don't come for me. But I just feel like a simple sorry to start it all is all that needs to be said, and then Issa can follow with her I'm sorry, and they need to have that conversation. But I only feel this way because of what happened last week.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Cheryl. Like like listening to you break it down, I do think that the how it happened is overshadowing what the actual fight would have been about. So I do think it deserved a Molly reach out. Just for the, like you said, just for the simple fact of how it happened. Then after that, like to me, the conversation would be Molly reaching out and saying, "Listen, I'm sorry for I'm sorry for bringing this up at the block party. I know that was an important day. It just all what's been going on between us just all kind of came out like bird vomit. I'm sorry that it happened in that way, but then after that, it's between the two of them to kind of like figure out what exactly, was going on.
Yeah, I think that somebody has to do it, right? It's been building up since Broken Pussy episode 1, season 1, in my
Fair.
I think that Molly, based on the pattern that's been occurring this season, right? Like the beginning of the season, Molly's like, at her fundraiser or the networking event, she did something similar. So you've showed a pattern of like public displays of rage or
non-supportiveness,
I guess, so to speak. So for me, this was a major event to me. How could you do something like that in a space so big? So it's embarrassment, it's hurt, it's a lot of things that are rolled into one. Honestly, I'm thinking that Tiff or Kelli are gonna have an intervention. I feel like Molly and Issa neither one of them are gonna want to do it. And Issa and Kelli and Tiff might be like, you know what, let's go ahead and, hey, y'all just come over, and neither one of them know they both gonna be there, and then boom, they have to deal with it. I feel like it's so many different ins and outs to this because they've both been really shitty friends on some dynamic. I feel like you want to be like, oh, I'm Team Issa, oh, I'm Team Molly, but like really and truly, like, I don't want to be none of y'all team.
I don't want to be none of y'all friends.
I got some shit with y'all. Y'all need to deal with it.
I'm
Kelli. I just feel like they're gonna have to put their big girl drawers on. But if I had to choose one, I would say that Molly needs to have the conversation. She needs to be the one that initiates. And I agree with Jazz, like, hey, I apologize that's how I blew up at your event. That was inappropriate. The time and place was not it. However, we've been sweeping this under the rug, or I've been sweeping this under the rug. And I really hope for their sake that they have a conversation where they take responsibility for their own actions and their own feelings, because and somewhere in there, I feel like Molly specifically is going to be like, you make me feel so and so and so and so, right? But it really is like, how do you feel? Like, take that responsibility and own your own feelings and your own emotions. So yeah.
Funny thing is that with Molly being the one that's in therapy, I feel like I have her on a different level, and I'm just trying to figure out why she didn't channel any of that therapy and all the things that she learned in therapy.
She went to therapy, Sherelle. Then she quit.
She went in this season. She's been going to therapy this season.
Sherelle, once Andrew started acting right, therapy was over.
Yeah, I feel like it's therapy.
She went to therapy this season.
She went to therapy? I don't remember.
I'll say this. That it's going to be.
You still have therapy.
It's going to be interesting because Issa feels like she's been apologizing the entire time. I'm pretty sure Molly's going to be like, yeah, I tried to talk to you at the concert. I mean, off to the side, which, depending on how you feel about that, that could be deemed okay or whatever. But she tried. They're both going to be like, well, I tried, So I don't know.
I'll give it to Molly, but I can't say that Issa can say that she tried, because she's been avoiding a lot.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
but the idea,
I don't count the wings. I don't count the wings as trying, because this is a whole event that I'm supposed to be focused on. This is not the time or the place. Now, maybe at Tiffany's house, even still, neither one of them, they both were avoiding the situation. So
yeah, no, I'm not saying
they could have talked about it at Tiffany's house, although that wasn't the place to do it either.
And it would be awkward. Yeah, but again, I'm not saying that those were like valid excuses, but those are going to be their self excuses. Like, yeah, I did that, you know. Like, so I feel like that's what they're going to ride on, and ego is going to be like, yeah, nah, much like the end. But really quickly before we get to the last scene that we saw, which was a lot to talk about, Issa seems to be doubling down on running events again. Like she said, more coming soon. Is there any possible way, because y'all already know my answer must be, that she can pull this off again, an entire event?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But
what was that comment that the assistant made when she said something about vendors wanting to be reimbursed or something, or they wanting their deposits back? Right at the beginning, when she was getting all the calls, the assistant made a comment about the vendors.
I don't know if it was in regards to reimbursement. I would have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, she said something about either invoices or something. It was something. So yeah, I'll have to go back and look.
I mean, because you're really paying for a spot in order to service, to showcase your business. So I would think it's hard for a vendor to come back and then say that they want to be reimbursed when you paid me to sell your merchandise.
Right. Yeah. But she said something. I'm not accurate on what she said, but I just want to make sure that it wasn't something negative from the vendors. But I absolutely
can see the way the assistant was speaking was in a happy tone of like.
No, that was the second time she left a message. The first time she said something that wasn't in line with her second message about something else. Najee, if you can run it back, check to see if you can catch it.
I'm looking at it really quick.
I think she could definitely pull it off again, though.
So wait a minute. Everybody says yes, but Condola helped her.
Yeah, but now she knows that she got to do it on her own. First of all, Condola might have made the connects, right? She might have been that connecting the dot. Now that Issa knows what to do, all right,
Andrew.
Yeah, but those are like,
I think she can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why Andrew nor Nathan would be opposed to helping her again. You're gonna have to get help somewhere.
Okay. So basically, she can do it because she has the resources, the people available, has the knowledge to do it. Okay, I can get with that. I was just curious. Okay.
She's done it now once, and she's kind of like, she learned from the first. It was a learning experience.
I don't think she's a professional party thrower, but I definitely think that she has, what she needs to get another one done. And then I think too, she's made some connections with people that'll be able to kind of help her out with vendors and things like that too.
This one gives her a boost of confidence and self-esteem that she needs.
I felt that
to proceed in order to bang out this second one with not, I won't say little to no help, but in a way that gives her that boss, like, hey, my name is Issa, I'm hosting this, blah 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 blah. How can you assist me? How does this So I think that before she was like, oh, I can't do it. Now she's like, okay, so I didn't flop. I can actually do this. So what's our next type of situation?
Yeah.
Once she saw those Facebook statuses, I think that's exactly what she was feeling there. So I'm rooting for her to do another one too. And again, I could be drastically wrong here, but I always felt like she felt that these events were bigger than her anyway. So it's a sense of like, hey, everyone doubted me. I got it done. The feedback is there. I got to do it again for the people. And I think that motivates her more than anything. Not to mention, if you think about what I'm saying, this entire episode has been about her trying to please the people. So I think when you encompass all of that all together, I think that she's more than not even just ready, but like more or less, she wants to get this done. So to prove everyone wrong. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think that towards the end, when she's sitting there, she's looking at these comments. I think again, it's a boost to know that people want this, right? Because initially it was her wanting it for the people and not sure how they were going to react. Now that the people have had it, the people are saying, hey, give us more. So now she's succeeding by giving to the community who now wants her to succeed, in a sense, if that makes sense. You understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the whole time we were kind of watching her go through the process, we were seeing her run into roadblocks with, everybody like not understanding her vision, and like her kind of having to convince people that they want this too. Like, I want this for you because of this or whatever. And now, people, they saw the vision, they saw it come to life. It's easier to see what you can believe. So, and yeah,
must have been Must have been Luca there, because she definitely had no past due bills on her counter when she's looking through her mail. Attention to detail. But okay, so again, we've been avoiding this, and let's get into this really quick before we get to our closing thoughts for the show. So the final scene, she done went to her mom. Her spirit is up high. I mean, she is back to her square one. The energy's flowing, good vibes, and she's about to go into a bar, and she sees Molly, but not just Molly at the end of the bar, which has its own symbolic thing to her being in the bar and the side. But Molly's also happy. I don't know if you guys are people. Molly's having a good time. No worries in the world. I guess we'll probably see that vantage point in another episode. But nonetheless, the question and the perspective we're going to look at now is Issa walking into the bar. Her consciousness leaving her hanging. Her consciousness didn't even clock in for work for this one. He's like, nah, I'm good. But should she have went in to talk to Molly?
Yes. I definitely think that so I don't even know if I considered Molly being happy versus just
being out.
Just being out. Yeah. Like I feel like you wouldn't be so like not saying. So here's the thing, right? Looks can be deceiving. I'm gonna just say that. So you can be at a bar or at any place right now smiling, and what's happening on the inside not be reflected on the outside.
100%. Let's look at the perspective that it does appear that she's happy. Let's ride off that one for now.
I didn't pay much attention to if she was happy. I just saw what she was doing.
I felt like she was just responding to some text, or she was on her phone or whatever, but she was looking at or engaged was like, oh, hey, like, oh, okay, but I feel like if there was a laughter or some sort of like, I don't know, I guess a more expressive type of situation, I would have been like, oh yeah, she's extremely happy and doesn't care about Issa, but I didn't get that vibe. I
kind of was waiting for an Andrew moment.
Huh?
I kind of like waiting for Andrew to come into the scene.
That could have happened.
I'm always waiting for an Andrew moment.
But I definitely think that Issa should have gone in. And the reason why I say that is because she's done enough avoiding. And I'm tired of seeing her avoid stuff at this point. Like, the conversation needs to be had. Perhaps, and here's the thing, right? You didn't even have to have the conversation. You could have said, hey, or, like, obviously, this is not the time or the place. Would you be open to having a conversation at another time? Blah, 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 blah. Or she could have not said anything at all. There are a variety of different ways it could have went, right? But I think that, to me, I felt a way that you've always been passive aggressive. You've been a people pleaser. And here you are. And you were excited for this food. You know what I'm saying? You were excited for this food. And you decided that because Molly is there. Hey, let me get an order of...
No, I was going to say that too, Maya. It's simply because she rolled out her house in the middle of the night to go get this food, and she sees Molly in the restaurant. Sis, you could have still ordered your food. You could have still sat there. You could even said hi and just let whatever happens after that. But she literally avoided the hell out of that situation. I'm disappointed.
I'm like a really big believer in signs, so that was a moment where I would have been like, oh, this is a sign. Like, the universe is basically like forcing us to talk, to talk to each other. So I think I'm also the type, I would probably be on my personality would be on the more Issa side, where I'm a little bit more passive. So I get it. But just having that moment where like Molly's literally like smacking your face, like, to me is just like, I have to talk to her, or I have to at least go inside there because, you know, the universe is telling me to. Like, this moment, you know, it's happening for a reason.
Nobody's coming between me and my food, so I would have went right up in there with my food, whether she was there or not.
I feel like, you know, maybe she avoided it because she was in a good mood, and the last time her and Molly were together, Molly went the hell off, and maybe she was trying to avoid that. Maybe it just wasn't the time. Who was Molly even texting right now? I mean, yeah, she didn't look like overly happy, but she did look like purposely driven. So feels like an Andrew type of text, if you ask me. But I don't think there was nothing wrong with her turning around like, hey, I'm not gonna let somebody wreck my spirit. I just came from Mom Duke's house. I'm good right now. And after the Mom Duke's uplifting, the food was gonna be the next thing. But you know, if I can't get Chipotle, I guess I'll settle on Taco Bell today because it is what it is. Who knows? But I feel like it probably wasn't the right time. Because again, it's the 50-50 chance of like, bro, this could go the way my spirit is feeling, or this can go exactly what happened 24 hours ago. And I'm not going to chance that. So, but again, to Amaya's point, with the nature of always avoiding, I see, you know, and your consistency in wanting the character to respond a certain way because she hasn't been accountable for things. So I can see that. We got a lot to talk about for next week's episode before we even get to next week's episode, because there's just so much more that's got to unfold from all this. So quickly before we close up this episode, we're going to just go around really quickly and give just our overall thoughts of this episode, other little plot points we might have not touched on, then we'll wrap it up. And quickly for me, I'll just say that Amal checking on her, giving her that lifting of saying, hey, you know, don't be tripping over that Molly shit, you know, don't let it ruin your day. I respect him. I really want more Amal. I can't stress enough. I really, really, really want more of that. And to the point about the vendor said that they're just still waiting on to get returns from 4 vendors, and she wanted to talk about she wanted to talk about something else that she had brought up. I wonder, she had already been thinking about going to round 2 for this. This could have already been the thing. And key point about this is that she was not talking to this. It has nothing to do with Condola. I feel like Condola probably would have been in the conversation with this the first time. So much like you guys said, going back and look, she may be all systems go. May have a little bit been down about it in the beginning of the day, but at the end of the day, she's like, yeah, this. I got this. So, but overall for this episode, I do like the switch of tempo because again, last week we were taking shots. This week we may have some wine after the show, who knows? But it was a more of a good vibe. I love the PG love, regardless of the ladies dining and ditching. But it's always good to know that home is always getting that support and that love. So that was dope. But I'm very excited for episode 7. It's going to be this season has just been really, really good. I'm mad Lou couldn't get in on this episode, so we'll have him back next week. But yeah, this was a dope episode. It was a lot of good things to talk about. And again, the one last thing I'll say, and I'll pass it off to you, Sherelle. More Kelli, more serious Kelli. Matter of fact, not like dead corporate serious, but non-comedic Kelli. I think the fans want it. I want it. I'm cool with that. I like what she had to say, and I want to see her continue to be driven and that notion to bringing her friends back. So I'm cool with that. So that's my overall thoughts for this episode.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the upcoming episode because I think that this is the episode that Lawrence is actually producing. So I'm really excited to see this episode. I'm really interested in seeing more of Kelli, and I'm really interested in seeing how the dynamic with, you know, how things turn out between Issa and Molly. But I also would like to see more Nathan. So, and then I want to know, where the hell is Lawrence? Where is Lawrence?
Good question.
That's a good question. I think that I want to see more interpersonal development with Issa. I would like to see her and Molly have a reconciliation, even if that means that they part ways afterwards, but there still needs to have a conversation in reference to their friendship. And I am interested to see what's going to go on with her and Nathan, because like I said in my previous review, I definitely thought that they were gonna find their way back to each other. And they need to have a conversation as well. But I definitely think that this was the opening of like, hey, I do want to see what's going on with us, or is there a possibility in what we could have? So that's what I have for the next episode. But as far as this episode is concerned, I'm glad. My favorite part is going to be the mother-daughter moment. And I think that that was a very big moment for Issa, because I think she didn't feel like she was enough. And her mom came in right when she needed it and uplifted her, encouraged her, and like really filled her spirit up, which is something that she needed. And so that's for me probably my favorite part. The episode overall was great, but that's definitely my main favorite part, is that seeing family. Like you said, Amal is checking in on her sister, like, hey, don't let that break your spirit. And then mom saying, like, you are amazing, like that's what she needed to pump her up. And I need to see her keep going in this space.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was you and Maya that mentioned too, because I'm just trying to think is like where this is gonna go. So the way the episode ended, I kind of feel like showed the way Issa is gonna play this, which is the avoidance game. I think that we're not gonna see them have that conversation for a little while, because I think she's gonna continue to avoid like she's been doing. But I do think you mentioned the intervention, like with Kelli and Tiffany. Mm-hmm. But I almost kind of think this is a theory in my head. They kind of set the tone with Tiffany with that postpartum stuff that they haven't even like gotten into. So I almost think maybe they'll play the avoidance game until there's an intervention, maybe for Tiffany, where they'll have to like come to Tiffany's rescue, type of thing. I feel like sometimes when people are avoiding things, sometimes there's a situation that happens that'll kind of like force you guys together, and that maybe that'll be it. Maybe that'll be the role that Tiffany's postpartum depression will play.
That's exactly how things happen too.
If that happens, you heard it here first.
Right.
Well, as we wrap up this episode, I'll just say quickly, we are going to be back each and every week reviewing these episodes, and we're just switching gears just a little bit here. And we're going to, we typically were recording episodes before time. We were reviewing, screening them, rightfully so, nothing illegal. Everybody asking how and everything like that, through proper avenues and channels. But we are going to review the second half of this season in real time. So reviews will be dropping right after the episodes drop. But continue to support us. Definitely let us know in the comments what you think. Any of your theories and suggestions and stuff like that. Definitely leave them all in the comments. We're back each and every week until this season is completely done. I will give another disclaimer that we do not look ahead at other episodes. We watch it raw and then we record. So, we give our best reactions and thoughts in real time, regardless if it was beforehand or as we're doing right now, as after the episode has dropped, released to the world. So, again, thank you everybody who's been supporting us through the first 5 seasons, and for the rest of the season, first 5 episodes, and for the rest of this season, the episodes, this is what we're going to be doing. So look for reviews late at night, or for your early viewership come Monday morning. But I think we are done for this one. We'll be back again next week for episode 7. But until then, I think we're all good to go, right?
See you later.
Yeah.
All right, peace out, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Big gold bell.